John, and welcome once again to Daytona International Speedway, where this afternoon it is the season opener for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. And some of the best all-time competing, including Frank Kimmel. He's a 10-time champion, but you know what? He's never won here at Daytona. He starts 11th. And then we've got a great young gun, and Daniel Suarez, this kid, a future superstar, making his Daytona debut here today. And the last time the ARCA Racing Series went to a restrictor plate track, it was Tom Hessert that got the checkered flag. He goes inside of row 2 this afternoon at Daytona. And what about the man on the pole? Oldest pole sitter ever at Daytona, Mark Thompson, 63 years old, going to lead him to the green this afternoon at the World Center of Racing.
We don't ramp up, stretch out, ease in.
Finger's gonna win it here.
We start fast. We go hard, and we wait for no one.
Lee Petty by a margin of less than 1 yard.
We give it everything we have. Not conscious of the loss, only of the game.
The Daytona 500 belongs to Darrell Waltrip.
We don't calculate risk. We defy reason. Why doesn't play a part. We know what awaits.
He's done it again.
We never ask when. We already know the answer.
All you got to do is hold it wide open and don't hit anything.
Didn't take long to get 3 wide, did it? Gerhardt on the outside. 4 wide as they come into the tri-oval. He'll win again. Bobby Gerhardt climbs out for the 8th time. John West Townley will win at Daytona.
It's going to get pretty wild and crazy.
Daytona's the biggest race of the year. It is an honor to run at this track, and if you win here, it's something you'll never forget.
It is time to go green for the ARCA Racing Series in 2015. Good to have you with us for our coverage of the Lucas Oil 200 presented by AutoZone. Now the pictures, they look great here at the World Center of Racing. It is a bit cool. High temperature today in Central Florida, just over 63 degrees. Right now we're at 62. Low tonight down to 46. It is going to be cool for the Sprint Unlimited on Fox tonight. Let's hear from our pit reporters. We start 2015 off with Jim Trado.
When it comes to speed, no matter the age, no matter the gender, if you know how to go fast, it'll get you to the front. Mark Thompson becomes the oldest driver in Daytona history to win a pole position. At age 63, you've got the bounce of a 20-year-old, Mark. Talk about that lap and your hopes for the race win today.
I was just, it was a spectacularly good lap. Now that we're doing drafting to qualify, it just happened, the stars lined up for us. It worked good.
And when it comes to the race today, what kind of partners have you already made before the race to hopefully play with you during?
I've raced at Daytona long enough to know there's no such thing as a partner.
The thoughts of our pole sitter, Mark Thompson, in his 92nd ARCA start since 1991. Now let's check in with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Jim. Frank Kimmel's coming up on 500 starts in this series. He's got 10 championships, 80 victories. You lead a lot of categories. But right back there is Victory Lane at Daytona, and you've never been there. How do you get there today?
Well, I'm glad you showed me. Hopefully I get to. I tell you what, the switch over to Venturini Motorsports over the fall and the winter has been really good, and we're getting along great. And this is by far the fastest car I've ever had here. It's really a good car, and we didn't qualify like we wanted. That group thing, we didn't figure it out very good, but I think we got something for today. 3
times here at this track you've finished second. What's the key to getting one more position?
Hell if I know, Ray. I wish somebody tell me, but you just got to have a great race car. A lot of times here, I think we've come out of here with second or third or fourth, and pretty happy just to get there. I'll be disappointed if we can't get it done today.
All right, guys, there's just one thing missing from this guy's resume: a trophy at Daytona.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Frank. We'd love to see Frank in Victory Lane today. It'd be a great story for the ARCA Racing Series. So good to have you with us as we open up 2015 with Phil Parsons. I'm Adam Alexander. Phil, you and I got down here midweek. A lot of anticipation. The last 2 days, cars have been on track, but that's been practice. Now it's time to race and an opportunity for some young superstars to get their first chance at Daytona.
Yeah, Adam, for the tens of thousands of young men and women that have raced cars, they've shared the same dream, and that's the race here at Daytona. and they come from all over North America. We start out in Mexico. Daniel Suarez, a 10-time winner in the NASCAR Mexico Series, already announced that he's going to run the full-time Xfinity Series for Joe Gibbs Racing. And then we have Daniel Hemrick, a short track racer, a legend car champion. He's going to drive the full Camping World Truck Series for NTS Motorsports. He's going to get some experience here. And then we go all the way to British Columbia to Sarah Cornett Ching. I asked her how long she's had this dream. She said, I came here with my family 11 or 12 years ago. We stood in victory lane, and from that moment on, I wanted to race here at Daytona, and she's here going to do it.
You and I were talking on the way up to the broadcast booth today about this field. Top to bottom, it may be the best ever for the ARCA Series here at Daytona. Surprisingly, only 2 guys in the field that have ever made it to victory lane here.
Yeah, there's a good 25 cars capable of winning this race, but when you talk to the people in the garage here, said, who do you have to beat? It goes to Bobby Gerhardt, the guy that's won here 8 times. He knows how to get it done in this racetrack. We also have Grant Enfinger, our winner from last year, in the field. They're the only 2 winners. Grant Enfinger obviously knows how to get it done, but there's a lot of great competition here. There's some teammates. Venturini has 4 potent cars. GMS has a couple cars, so it could be a great, great race.
You mentioned Grant Enfinger winning this race 1 year ago. He nearly won the championship. He'd love to get a jump start on 2015 this afternoon. The Command Defy Engines for the ARCA cars is next on Fox Sports 1.
Look at this momentum that Grant Enfinger has had. A little bit of a push from Chase Elliott.
Grant Enfinger sees the white flag. One more time around at Daytona. Coming out of turn number 4. Grant Enfinger. Just a few hundred yards to go. Enfinger looking for his first win at Daytona. Enfinger's going to win it here. Grant Enfinger gets his 3rd career win in the ARCA Racing Series, and it comes at no bigger stage.
That was a great moment here at Daytona 1 year ago. You see the ARCA cars gridded, all 40 of them, chomping at the bit to get 2015 underway. And when you talk about storylines in the race, here's a great one. Clay Campbell, president at Martinsville Speedway, trying to get the checkered flag today.
Yeah, had a great finish here last year. There's Cody Coughlin, a youngster, making his first start at Daytona, starting on the outside of the front row.
Not a bad way to debut, qualifying on the front row for today's Lucas Oil 200. And then there's Will Kimmel. He's never gone to victory lane. We heard from Frank, who's won 80 times. Will, his nephew, would love to win on the big stage this afternoon.
Yeah, he's had some top 5 finishes at this racetrack. He knows how to run up front.
His dad's the crew chief. It's a great family story. The window nets are up. That must mean the green flag is on the way. Let's go trackside now and get the Command to Fire Engines.
Now, here to deliver the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, District Manager for AutoZone, Dave Barnes.
Drivers, start your engines.
The anxiety level just went up. The engines are fired, and that means in just a couple of more minutes, we'll be green here at Daytona. Now our Menards Pole Award presented by Ansel. Group qualifying yesterday, Mark Thompson delivering in round 4.
An awesome job. That's Mark in the 11 car right there. He's got the 55 of Cody Coughlin behind him. They end up being 1 and 2.
So qualifying taking place here yesterday. Mark Thompson, 63 years old, the oldest pole winner ever at Daytona International Speedway. And what an advantage to be able to start up front in a race like this.
No, without a doubt. I talked to him about what he's going to do. I said, I'm going to hug that yellow line. He said, you don't think I should go to the high side, do you? I said, absolutely not.
So Mark Thompson is 63. He's a veteran. Let's talk about some rookies. And there have been some good ones, including your brother Benny.
Yeah, I know how much the ARCA Racing Series has meant to my brother Benny over the years. And culminated right there, passing David Pearson for a Daytona 500 win.
What about Davey Allison, everything he meant to stock car racing in his young career?
Yeah, part of certainly the Alabama gang. Davey had a great career here in the ARCA Series and a terrific career in the Cup Series as well.
Parker Kligerman, so special when he was driving that 77 car.
Lost the championship by 5 points that year to Justin Lofton.
But he won like 18 races in his rookie campaign. And Alex Bowman, who hopes next weekend to be running the Daytona 500, got his start right here in the ARCA Racing Series.
Yeah, multi-time winner here in the ARCA Racing Series. A great place for drivers to get their start.
And now our Scott Rookie Challenge as we look at a couple of drivers to focus on in 2015. David Levine out of Highland Park, Illinois, driving that red 68 car. I think he's someone that could get it done, and you also have to watch the 58. That's John Lewinsky Lowe. Milford, Massachusetts is where he calls home. It's only his second career start, rolling off in the 22nd position.
Yeah, great opportunity for these young drivers.
Well, so many great off-season stories when it comes to the ARCA Racing Series, but the big one, no doubt, involving this new engine program that ARCA has put in place. Let's get more on that and send it back down to Ray Dunlop.
Lots of changes for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards over the winter time. Now this year when we get to the short tracks, 1 mile and less, you'll see this brand new composite body, which is brought to you by 5 Star Engineering. Now this laminate is super tough, but what I really love about it is it comes in 12 individual flange fit pieces. Now let's say you get a door rub, all you got to do is unhook it here and put a brand new door piece on. And the great part about this, at only 135 pounds, it's lightweight, but even more so, it saves the teams about 50% on installation. But the biggest project over the winter was the brand new ARCA Ilmor 396. This engine has a steel block, but it comes with electronic fuel injection. Now at 7,500 RPMs, this thing puts out maximum horsepower, and that lets it live for a long, long time. In fact, the guys from Ilmor are telling us you can go 1,500 miles before this thing needs a rebuild. Now, in the past, when you came to Daytona, you might lease an engine for $25,000 or $26,000, and that got you one race. This engine costs $35,000, ready to go, and it's going to get you through a third of the season. Lots of savings in plan right now for the teams that race in ARCA.
And you see right behind Ray, that 69 car, and they've been doing some interesting things with Will Kimmel away from the track, also in preparation as cost savings for these teams down the road. And now let's hear from Bill Kimmel.
You know, when it comes to racing and the cost savings, guys, it is a big story, especially for team owner and crew chief for his son, Will Kimmel. Bill Kimmel, you've been around the sport a long time, 8 championships as a crew chief, now owning the team, your 26-year-old son driving. You guys have had a chance to see this engine and new body combination firsthand. What is it going to do for your small team when it comes to this ARCA Ilmor 396 and the money it can save you?
Well, it's going to save us a lot of money. Over our rentals we've had in the last couple of years, I mean, for 2 rentals, you're buying a motor and you can run it for up to 1,500 miles, which is really good. On the competitive side of it, a guy like Brad Smith, who I don't think has ever made a race on time, went and got an Ilmor motor this year, and he made the race real comfortable on speed. So it's really tightened the field up. This is the tightest field we've ever had in ARCA, so it's a really good deal for us.
And when it comes to Mobile, the next race, the introduction of that new flange fit body, how's that going to help you guys save cash?
Well, the biggest thing that's going to do, if we tear a fender up or something, we can put one back on for a couple $100 versus the metal bodies where you got to maybe take a side off of it. And you know, my situation, I got to take it all the way to Charlotte, but now I can bolt it together myself, much like we used to do the late models.
And that's going to save them money. That's going to make them more competitive. And as his son Will told me, no more excuses when it comes to how much horsepower can we buy. We're right with everybody else.
And that's good news, Jim, for everybody in the ARCA garage. The green flag when we return to Daytona. Good to have you with us on Fox Sports 1. The fans are out. We're back live at Daytona International Speedway, anticipating the start of the Lucas Oil 250, presented by AutoZone, the season opener for the ARCA Racing Series. And as the cars head into turn 1, making their pace laps, we give you the starting grid, top of your screen, and now we look at the onboard cameras we'll have for today's race. Phil, you're up first.
Yeah, we're going to ride along with Bo Lamastus in the 42 car. He finished 16th here back in 2013. He's in the Crosley Dodge, and he will start 29th.
How about the 98 of Austin Wayne Self, won Rookie of the Year honors 1 season ago. He's driving the AM Technical Solutions Ford, rolling off in the 27th position.
We're also going to ride along with Buster Graham in the Louisiana Tech Ford. He had a top 10 last year at Talladega, and he will start from the 20th spot.
Behind the wheel of the 20 car today is Scott Sheldon, the Allegiant Travel Chevrolet. 12th is where he qualified yesterday, looking to hook up with his teammate, the man who won this race 1 year ago, Grant Enfinger.
Let's ride along with Leilani Munter. She's in one of the potent Venturini cars. She ran 4 times last year. She had 3 top 15 finishes. She will drive her Energy Freedom Toyota from the 10th starting spot.
And we've got a great view of the start because we are riding on board with a man that qualified outside front row. Cody Coughlin, first ever trip to Daytona. He starts second in that Jegs Toyota. Limited schedule one season ago. He was very impressive, but he's never done this kind of thing. And I'm sure when you talk about nerves, he's got plenty of them right now as we get set for the green flag.
Yeah, he finished the season last year at Kentucky and Kansas with back-to-back fourth-place finishes, so he knows how to go fast. But this drafting, this strategy of this kind of race is way, way different.
Talk about 2014. It's all about Mason Mitchell, who is competing today, driving the 78 car. And after today, not sure what his plan is for 2014. You compile the numbers. Now we're set to start our stat list for 2015. The pace lights have come off the car out of turn 4. And the field is sized up. Big weekend of racing. Later tonight, it's the Sprint Unlimited. That's over on Fox. Right now, it's all about the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. The off-season is over. We're ready to put the green flag in the air and go racing at Daytona.
Really curious to see how that red car in the second row, Brett Hudson on the outside, was going to do on these starts. On the initial start, he has one of the old traditional style engines, not one of the new Ilmor engines. They say they don't take off as quick, but he did a pretty good job on that initial start.
Cody Coughlin sliding down in front of Mark Thompson, grabs the early advantage in that outside lane, being pulled around, as you talked about it, by Brett Hudson, who qualified fourth here yesterday. That's Hessert inside of him. Then you got Suarez and Campbell back behind them in the 52 and 15.
What an amazing moment for Cody Coughlin here. First time at Daytona and comes off turn 4 with the lead.
He just turned 19, and just turning 18 driving that 22 car is Blake Jones. A lot of youth in the field today.
You're going to see these guys fight for that inside line there. You see that 52 of Clay Campbell right down there next to that double yellow line. Said, I'm not coming off that double yellow line for anything.
And it appears that's the place to be, because that top groove starting to drift back as we head down the back straightaway for the second time.
Well, Adam, these guys are able to run around here wide open, and these guys on the inside are going the shorter way around. That's why the inside line right now, it seems to be the preferred line. After that, they can tighten up that outside groove a little bit. Maybe Daniel Suarez and that 15 car get a little bit closer to that 09, then maybe they can make some ground up on the outside.
Top of your screen, couple of great veterans. Inside that bright yellow car, Frank Kimmel, the 10-time champion who's got 80 career wins. And right beside him in that black number 5, Bobby Gearhart, who's won here 8 times at Daytona. That's more than any other. And when you look at his stat line, not only has he won here 8 times, on 2 different occasions, he's won 3 in a row in the season open.
You know, those guys spend so much time working on this Daytona car. This is the same car. You know, we talk about Daytona. There's, oh no, Sarah Cornett-Jing. We talked about her coming all the way here from British Columbia, already off the pace.
Going to run 10 laps, so 10 races rather, in 2015. But as you said, already off the pace and headed toward the pit lane.
See, Will Kimmel, that red number 69, jumps down in front of his uncle, Frank, in that 25. It's going to be hard to get used to seeing Frank in that number 25. This is Leilani Munter right here in the 66 car.
And she's done a nice job going back to testing and throughout the week. And as I talked about in our open, you and I have been here the last few days throughout the practice sessions Thursday and yesterday and qualifying. This has been a very clean speed weeks for ARCA teams. Speaks volumes when you consider the difference in youth and experience that we see on this entry list.
I almost hate to even talk about it because it has been so good here, and hopefully we can get to the end of this race and be the same way. But you see that outside line. Now you see Suarez moving right up on Brett Hudson's back bumper, and they've lost a little bit of ground. They gradually lose a little bit more ground each lap, but if he can stay tucked up like that, they can push down the straightaways at him. They cannot push each other in the turns, though.
How much at this stage of the race is experimenting with your car and knowing, can I work the high groove? Do I need to be down low? Am I better at pushing? Am I better at having somebody behind me and being pushed? Are you working through all those things in the early stages so you know where you need to be late?
I think most of these drivers just want to stay against the double yellow line. We'll figure everything else out later. But for the guys like Brett Hudson, Daniel Suarez, Bobby Gerhardt, you're stuck on the outside, so you have to try to make something happen out there.
Mentioned a moment ago, Sarah Cornett-Ching off the pace, now on the pit lane. What's the story, Jim?
They're thinking plugs or plug wires, guys. She said the car would go and it would cut out, would go and cut out. They thought maybe fuel initially, but this is a new motor they put in yesterday. They missed practice getting the motor from Charlotte down here in time to install it. She lost track time, but now she said it doesn't want to keep running. They've tried to fix it with some plug wires. We'll see if it stays running this time for the Canadian.
Thanks, Jim. And unfortunately, as she leaves pit road, she's already a couple of laps down. And it continues to be Cody Coughlin out front. Cody has led every lap so far today. First time he's ever been out front of an ARCA race in his career.
Right along with Scott Sheldon right there. He's currently running in the 31st spot. There's Terry Jones, the 30 car on the outside of him. See, Frank Kimmel now has jumped up to the outside to lead that outside line. There's Frank in the 25.
Pretty good drafting help behind him. Grant Enfinger is there, and you see Will Kimmel, Daniel Suarez also in that mix.
And these guys just want to log some laps there. We feel like the pit window is somewhere between lap 50 and 60, especially for the Ilmore cars. Now, Bobby Garrett has the old traditional engine. And a lot of talk in the garage here. He said he could probably run 70 laps. I talked to his crew chief and brother Billy, and he said, we can. We've gotten the best fuel mileage we've ever gotten here. We've seen him win this race by pitting in the first 5 or 10 laps. We're already 7 laps into this race right now. If the caution were to come out now, look for that 5 car to come to pit road, possibly for the only time.
Now, here's something else. He was in that outside lane, meaning there's no way he could get down to pit road. But now he's on the inside lane. We're getting close to their window. Do you have any thoughts of coming down under green to play the strategy, Phil, knowing that you only want to pit one time, or do you wait for that early caution?
I think you have to wait because more than likely, if he pits now under green, he comes back out, he's going to be by himself. The field will certainly catch up to him very, very quickly and put him a lap down. So he'd be right exactly in the same position he's in right now, except he'd be a lap down. So I think it would be ill-advised to come down to pit road before the caution flag. Tom Hessert jumps to the outside, jumps out in front of Frank Kimmel. Tom's in that 77 car. Our winner, most recent winner on a restrictor plate track at Talladega. We told him he had 1 in a row coming into here.
I said, you got a win streak. He looked at me funny. I said, well, you've won 1 in a row, and that's better than anybody else. Only 2 restrictor plate tracks on the schedule.
And they made that move.
Talladega.
They made the move on the outside right now. Tom Hessert has driven all the way up to the 2nd spot.
And that forced Cody Coughlin to choose. Do I want the bottom or the top? He went up top for the block, but he can no more as Coughlin goes down low. Here comes that outside lane. Tom Hessert looking for the lead at Daytona.
It's like Frank may make it 3 wide. He's going to put Tom Hessert in the middle. Frank Kimmel going to the lead.
3 wide, midway down the back straightaway. That inside lane by the double yellow line belongs to Cody Coughlin. There goes Frank Kimmel around the outside. He's got drafting help from Grant Enfinger. And trapped in the middle now is Tom Hessert, and he's going the wrong direction.
See, Tom Hessert, he absolutely did nothing wrong here, and watch him go backwards.
There's Brett Hudson in the 09. Daniel Suarez is there. All of them taking aim at the driver that has no drafting help. And just 3/4 of a lap ago looked like he was in position to go for the race lead.
And absolutely nothing he can do about it right now. He can say, hey, spotter, let me know when I can get down. Let me know when I can get down. There hasn't been a hole yet.
Working lap 10 of 80 at Daytona. And the veteran who's never won here is out front. It's Frank Kimmel. First race of Speed Weeks 2015. The ARCA Racing Series on track now. Tonight, shift over to Fox at 8 p.m. Eastern Time as our Budweiser Speed Weeks coverage continues. It's the unofficial start of the NASCAR season, the Sprint Unlimited. 25 drivers that absolutely can't wait to get back on track.
Practice today, speeds over 202 miles an hour.
And qualifying tomorrow on Fox, and everyone believes we'll see a Daytona 500 pole set north of 200.
Been a long time.
Problems for one of our rookie contenders. John Lewinsky Lowe was smoking coming down the back straightaway. We'll get a replay of it here. Actually, it started as he went into turn 2 and eventually got down on the apron and took it to the garage. And now the caution is out. First of the day, and it comes out with 13 of 80 laps complete in the Lucas Oil 200. And that might be from the 58 machine. The report is we've got fluid in turn 3.
And that will give Gerhardt his opportunity to come to pit road. On lap number 14, he's going to be well within his window if he wants to stop now.
And he's not the only driver that may employ that strategy. There were a number of drivers not running that Ilmor engine that felt like they could do this with one stop. And once they got north of 10 laps, they would be in their window. That's where we are right now. We'll wait and see how everybody plays the game as we're under caution for the first time this afternoon.
You know, and for these other guys, knowing that maybe just a handful of cars are going to come down pit road, why not come down, Adam, top off a little bit? Then it just buys you a little bit more time. Yes, you can't make it the rest of the way if you have one of the new Ilmor engines, but at least you can make it 10 or 15 laps farther in case we get a long green flag run. So it wouldn't be a bad strategy to come down pit road now for about everybody and top them off with fuel.
The other thing I would say on that, and kind of paying off your point, is everybody we talk to in the garage, the tires are not going to be a big part of the equation. So when you're coming down, in a sense, you're coming down for fuel only. Not saying people won't change tires, but if your thought is I need fuel, the more fuel you get now, the less you will need on a stop later, which means you spend less time on pit road.
That's exactly right, and it buys you more time you can stay out. If people start making green flag pit stops around lap 50 to 55 because they didn't stop here, then you can stay out probably till lap 70 or so. Rule is in the ARCA Racing Series that you have to pit before lap 70. So everybody in the field will have to come down pit road prior to lap number 70.
Top 5 under caution: Frank Kimmel, Cody Coughlin, Grant Enfinger, Brett Hudson. And our pole sitter, haven't talked a lot about him, Mark Thompson, running 5th right now. Suarez, Campbell, Blake Jones, Tyler Audie, and Sean Corr make up the top 10.
This pit road is still closed. We saw the sign man waving the red and yellow flag because of all the speedy dry on pit road. I think they'll probably take an opportunity to blow some of that off pit road. You don't want to have these guys coming to pit road and have to drive through all that speedy dry.
Be at least one more lap before we find out who will put together what strategy here under caution. You know, Frank Kimmel's out front here, and I talked about it off the top. He's won 80 times in his career, but he's never won here at Daytona, and Ray visited with him and said, what have you got to do? Well, he's doing exactly what he needs to do right now, get out front. That's a place he hasn't been much in his prior 23 starts. In fact, Frank's only led 46 laps all time here, but today he's out front and feeling good about it at Daytona. Still under caution at Daytona for the ARCA Racing Series. It is the Lucas Oil 200. Presented by AutoZone, and pit road was open while we were away, and we had some takers, Ray, including Bobby Gerhardt.
When I talked to Bobby Gerhardt in the garage, he said it really was a flip of a coin of which engine to run this weekend. They have that coin taped to the dash, but so far he has said the car is running very, very well, and his crew chief Billy Gerhardt said, let's come in and get our fuel right here. They pitted on lap 16, put on right side tires, and pulled 1/8 of an inch of tape off of the front. Guys, I believe that's the one and only pit stop for the Lucas Oil Chevrolet. Jim Trado?
And the discussion for our pole sitter, Mark Thompson, that number 11 machine trailing the 09. Both of these cars came down. The 09 ahead of him. Brett Hudson started in 4th, running top 5. His crew chief, veteran driver and crew chief here in the ARCA Series, John Hayden, said, let's come in and top off. Also, with all of that oil dry down, and as Lewinsky Lowe went by me on pit road, it had to be a foot-wide swath of oil spilled down, so a lot of oil dry down. They made sure the front end was clear. They looked at the tape, perhaps looking at the tape configuration on the nose of that red 09, but they didn't do anything besides clear the grill. Same can be said for the 11 of Mark Thompson. That car, the pole-sitting car, came down, and that extra lap under caution made them decide to come. They wanted to come because Mark Thompson said, let's do this. Let's get fuel only. Let's make the call. I don't want to debate it anymore, Donnie. Let's get on our way. Donnie Richardson also had that extra time to decide, okay, let's do it. Fuel only for the pole sitter, who dropped just out of the top 3 here before the caution.
And Jim, also coming down, our reigning champion Mason Mitchell and Tyler Audie, who was running inside the top 10 when the caution came out. We'll be green when we come back. Right now, let's go to Los Angeles. Hear from Greg Wolf. 18 of our 80 laps complete here at Daytona for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Cody Coughlin started on the front row, grabbed the lead at the start, led the first 8 circuits. Then it was Frank Kimmel who took over, driving around on the outside. And the veteran from Southern Indiana has been out front ever since. Our top 5 as we get set to go back green: Frank Kimmel, Cody Coughlin, Grant Enfinger, Daniel Suarez, and Clay Campbell. And there's a look at Josh Williams. Started deep in the field today, but he's driving for an inspired young lady today, Jim.
While she's not on the pit box, Anya Kale, 8 years of age, is riding along in spirit with Josh Williams. He met this young girl who contracted leukemia or was diagnosed with leukemia right after she went to Halloween trick-or-treating. Her legs started hurting. Then she was diagnosed with leukemia. This team has orange wristbands saying Team Anya Kale. They're racing with her in mind. This Florida team wants to do well for that young 8-year-old girl.
Yeah, and Anya, we're thinking about you as well, and glad to have you with us today for the season opener here at Daytona. Wouldn't it be great to see Josh do great things? Of course, he ended 2014 with a runner-up finish at Kansas, and Frank Kimmel going to grab the top spot once again on the restart.
Yeah, Frank chose the outside, jumps down in front of his teammate Cody Coughlin. More than likely, it was probably planned. There's another teammate on the outside, that orange car, Daniel Suarez. Right now, he's got Grant Enfinger, the 23 car, on his inside.
Now, I understand why Frank would choose the outside lane, because, as you said, likely orchestrated so he could slide down in front of his teammate. But Cody Coughlin got the lead at the start from the outside lane. Should we make anything about where you need to restart here at Daytona? Because typically you want that inside.
Yeah, I think it depends on who your teammates are and where your teammate is. I think that's a perfect situation for Frank Kimmel and Cody Coughlin because of being teammates. And again, I think it was orchestrated. If you don't have a friendly face to your inside or outside, then it may dictate what you do.
Those Venturini cars are strong. You talked about 3 of the top 4 from the Venturini stable. And Frank Kimmel, now many people watching and seeing ARCA for the first time, he's running for Venturini, but this is only a 10-race deal. He's going to partner with Brandon Jones, who will run the other 10. There are rumors, though, that he's found another ride to complete the schedule. He's not missed a race since the beginning of 1997.
Yeah, I talked to those guys down in the garage here, and Frank said it looked like right now he had some stuff lined up. He would be good to at least sometime in June or July. So I would think that we would see somebody like Frank Kimmel running this full schedule again, because if you're out there with a car and maybe don't have a regular driver, who better to put in your car than an 80-time winner?
Well, who knows? You could be a part of his 11th ARCA championship. On board with Scott Sheldon. Hey, Scott's done a nice job today.
Scott Sheldon, part of a 2-car team with Grant Enfinger, GMS Motorsports. We're going to see them run at least 2, maybe 3 full-time teams in the Truck Series as well, starting next week here at Daytona.
Talk to the crew. Not sure how long Scott Sheldon will be behind the wheel of the 20. Have a deal for Daytona, but they're hopeful that everything will come together so once again Grant Enfinger can make a full run for the championship. And keeping in mind, a year ago, he didn't start the season with this team. He finished with them, but Grant, with a full year over at GMS, could very well be the guy to get the title in 2015.
He won 6 races in 2014, some with both teams. They actually started out the year on fire, won several races in a row to start the season, led over 1,000 laps last year.
Alabama driver who's really made a name for himself here in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Right behind him, you saw that Federated Auto car, the familiar colors for Ken Schrader. Kenny here is an owner this weekend. Got Clay Campbell behind the wheel of the 52. And then you look over at the 11, and Mark Thompson starts on the pole. That's also a car that Kenny owns.
There's a 22 car of Blake Jones on the outside. He's doing a nice job, lined up right behind Daniel Suarez in that Aris number 15.
He's out of the Cunningham Motorsports stables, just turned 18 years old. James Swanson off the pace. Tough break for the Clarksboro, New Jersey native who started 34th today.
No, most of these drivers that did not come down pit road on that first opportunity are saying, okay, let's run about 40 laps or maybe 35 laps before we see another caution flag. Then we know we can come to pit road and do our one stop. Obviously, they made repairs to the 58 car, has him back on the racetrack, but another issue for him.
Yeah, they took him to the garage, came back out, and once again off the pace. And mentioned Blake Jones, he's starting to make some noise on that bottom line, sneaking up behind Grant Enfinger. That orange car, the 15, Daniel Suarez, going to run full-time for Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series, but today he's driving for Bill Venturini, Ray.
You know, it's funny, Adam, when you're down here on pit road listening to the scanner, it sounds like it's a Sprint Cup Series race. That's because a lot of the guys up there have an incredible amount of experience. Calling the shots for Suarez today is Chris Osborne. Frank Kimmel has Chris Lambert on the radio, and Cody Coughlin, Scott Wimmer. So these guys hearing some familiar voices telling them about the traffic, what lines are going, what they should do. And in practice, Cody Coughlin was in a real tight group, and at that time, Scott Wimmer's radio went dead. Cody says, "Hey, Scott, are you there? I need some more information." And there was about 2 minutes of silence. When I saw Cody when he came into the garage, he said, "Man, I hope that doesn't happen in the race because there's a lot going on."
And, Ray, you bring up a great point. You always want to have a good pit crew, but that might not mean as much at Daytona as having a veteran up on the spotter stand.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So much strategy goes on, and your positioning on the racetrack here. Right now, most of these guys content just to ride around on the inside of the racetrack. You see that outside line by Daniel Suarez. I don't think we've seen Daniel Suarez on the inside of the racetrack yet. He's getting some valuable experience out here. We saw that outside line make moves, get up to the front before that first caution flag, so it can be done.
You look about 3 deep in that outside lane, you see the 48 of Sean Core. And haven't mentioned him really much today. Here you are on board with the 98 of Austin Wayne Self, but Sean Core in that 48, that's a race team that came down here in testing that was very strong. Empire Racing got 3 cars in the event today.
Yeah, they certainly do. They have a great lineup here. Austin Hill, who won our last 2 K&N East races of 2014. He's in one of those cars, as well as Patrick Staropoli, who's in his 2nd year at med school at the University of Miami. As a matter of fact, the other day, he took an exam in the morning and came here for practice later that day.
Well, you know, Staropoli is a Harvard grad.
Yeah,
safe to say he took a different educational route than you and I did. It's Frank Kimmel who's putting on the show today at Daytona. Budweiser Speed Weeks is off and rolling, and Fox Sports is with you every step of the way, including tomorrow, when we will set the front row for the Great American Race, Daytona 500 qualifying, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox and streaming live at Fox Sports Go.
First time with group qualifying for the Daytona 500.
Today, it's all about the ARCA Racing Series. Lucas Oil 200 presented by AutoZone. We are 30 laps into this 80-lap event. Opening of the race, Cody Coughlin started outside row 1, grabbed the lead, led the first 8 laps. But then his teammate, Frank Kimmel, took over. And the 10-time series champion has been out front for the last 22 laps. And really what I have noticed since Kimmel went out front, this is the first time the leader has been able to pull away a little bit, getting a little push from his teammate, the aforementioned Cody Coughlin.
See Grant Enfinger, that blue and yellow car in the inside, running 3rd. He's had Daniel Suarez in the orange number 19 side by side with him. Now this is the first time he's been able to get away from him. You see Suarez now on the outside of the 22 car of Blake Jones. So now Grant Enfinger is able to pull right up to Cody Coughlin, and now we have a 3-car breakaway, if you want to call 2 car lengths a breakaway.
I said it earlier, but I think you got to give a shout out to Blake Jones. We know that equipment is good because we talked about Tom Hessert, his teammate, who won the last time we went to a plate track over at Talladega, Alabama last spring. But this kid just turning 18, never been to Daytona, and here he is running 4th, closing on the middle stages. He obviously is quite comfortable in the drag.
And Austin Wayne Self finished 3rd in his first super speedway start in that car last year at Talladega.
You know, Austin Wayne Self, who won Rookie of the Year honors in 2014, today driving the 98. In fact, he will all season long for Mason Mitchell Motorsports. Here we are on board with Austin Wayne Self. You know, the Mason Mitchell cars really not where they wanted to be in qualifying yesterday. Mason, one of those that pitted on that opening round of pit stops, and right now Austin Wayne Self in the 22nd position.
See, the ARCA Racing Series did a modified version of group qualifying. They sent 7 cars out for 7 or 8 minutes in groups. Versus the Cup qualifying that's going to be half the field out there for 5 minutes and then the other half. So a modified version of that, and a lot of drivers say, well, I didn't really get in the right group or whatever. They established those groups off of practice time, so you really had a little bit of control as to which group you were going to be in. Some guys didn't feel like they had as good a group as some of the others.
But they basically went slowest to fastest from practice and how they went out and qualified. And teammates, as you ride on board here with Scott Sheldon, teammates were actually trying to manage practice in the draft so they would ensure they were in the right round of qualifying with the person they wanted to draft with. For some it worked out, for others it did not, and now we have caution for the second time today. And it looks like one of the flagmen has dropped the flag out of the flag stand. It's the move over flag, and it's getting moved over as the breeze comes off these cars down the front straightaway.
You don't see that happen.
You don't. You know, here's the thing. So many times I've been watching a race, and I said, what would happen if they dropped that flag? It never happens. Now it has.
It has. But this is going to be a great opportunity here. Right now, 35th lap here for the rest of the field to come down pit road. That may be a bit of a stretch for some of these guys, but most of them in the garage here felt like they were going to be okay pitting this early. There's the flag right there, right out of the flag stand.
That might be the one tonight on Fox Sports Live, huh? Need some stickum on those hands. That's what Jerry Rice used, right?
You're supposed to drop the green flag, not drop the move over flag. Frank Kimmel has been out in front for 26 laps. How many laps do you think he led last year?
Well, I know the answer, but since you're so proud of it, why don't you go ahead and deliver it?
One lap.
One lap.
One lap.
He had only led 46 all time in his Daytona career, and he's been out front for 26 today. You and I work well together.
That's right. There's Mola Mastis right there, the Crosley Dodge. There's Leilani Munter. She has a solid run going right now, up in the top 10, running 9th. Doing an awesome job. I mentioned earlier, 4 starts last year, 3 top 15 finishes for Leilani.
Free pass under this, our second caution of the day. Barry Fitzgerald in the 00. Barry started 39th today. Comes from Sykesville, Maryland.
I think you will see all the rest of the field that did not pit on that first caution flag come down pit road, led by Frank Kimmel. And I think we'll see Bobby Gerhardt, some of the others that pitted on that first caution flag, stay out here, and they will cycle up towards the front.
And among those who we expect to come down pit road and is making his way now, the man who nearly won the title 1 year ago and did get the checkered flag here at Daytona, Grant Enfinger. Jim?
Defending race winner Grant Enfinger comes down pit road in the Alamo Rent-A-Car Chevrolet. Fuel in. It's going to be fuel only. A tear-off off the windshield. 2 additional crew members at the back of the car to push him. The high gear ratios here. They don't want to take any chances here on the concrete pad on pit road. Also gas only for Daniel Suarez, but crew chief Billy Venturini also called for a little more tape on the nose to help that car turn. He's down and away shortly here. A little more fuel going in, Ray.
Bottom left of your corner, you see the Menards Toyota. That's Frank Kimmel. He wanted to remind him, do not slide the tires. Putting lots of fuel in there. They could have gone to lap 44. The number 55 car of Cody Coughlin gets his fuel, but he will go out behind Grant Enfinger.
Looked like it was Daniel Suarez that was the quickest off the pit lane of those who came in. And problems for the man who had the race lead. Frank Kimmel got trapped. He's going to lose a ton of track position here. And even if he had been good off the pit lane, wouldn't have mattered because Bobby Gerhardt already got his service. He is the new man on point, looking for his 9th career victory at Daytona International Speedway. A scary moment for Frank Kimmel. We saw him coming out of the pit lane later than everyone else. The reason why they had trouble fueling the car, Ray.
Yeah, guys, and you got to see here that this connector normally goes down inside this tubing, and you'll have it connected real tight with a hose clamp, but it came completely loose, so all of the fuel from the first can came out of the car all over the fuel filler.
Well, and I set a scary time, Ray.
Yeah, right here, guys. See this? This should have been down in the tube, and when it came out, it completely released, and all of the fuel came out of this can, so they are one complete can short, so Frank Kimmel had to come back in, but their fuel man got gasoline completely all over him. They're trying to get him cleaned up.
And that's the problem. You try to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. That's a human mistake right there. Somebody did not tighten that hose clamp, and that could cost Frank Kimmel. He lost all his track position.
The difference between success and failure in a place like Daytona is so slim, especially when you consider how strong the field is. Frank Kimmel took over the race lead at lap 9. He led the next 27 laps, had a dominant race car. In fact, yesterday he said, "This is the best car I've ever had at Daytona." Came to pit road with the top spot, had to come back down pit lane after they didn't get the car full of fuel. He goes from first now to 34th in the running order.
He certainly has his work cut out for him here. We're almost halfway in this race. This is a relatively short race, only 80 laps, 200 miles. And when you have somebody like Bobby Gerhart who knows what he's doing out front here, it may be tough for Frank to get back towards the front.
So about a half a lap away from going green once again as we wrap up our second caution. Bobby Gerhart, as we told you, is the race leader. He had made his pit stop earlier at lap 16. So did the 88 of Cole Powell, as we give you our AutoZone race summary. Bobby Gerhart, the race leader. 35 cars on the lead lap. 3 lead changes among 3 different drivers, and we're wrapping up our second caution. So we told you Powell had pitted earlier. He's running second rather. Thomas Prater is running third right now. Grant Enfinger and Scott Sheldon make up the top 5.
And the top 3 cars stayed on the racetrack. All 3 of those cars running the older style engine, not the new Elmore engine. Cole Powell is another Canadian here. Runs a lot of modified races, and the Southern Modified Tour finished second at Bowman Gray Stadium. You can put about 45 Bowman Gray Stadiums inside the infield here at Daytona.
How many did you say?
45.
Okay.
It's a quarter mile. Doesn't take up much area.
So the pace car goes to pit road. We're going to go green once again. And the Lucas Oil 200 presented by AutoZone. Grant Enfinger won the battle off pit road of those who came down here at lap 36, and strong in an outside lane, pushing by Bobby Gerhart on the restart, and he gives a nice shove to Cole Powell, who's going to take over the top position after starting 38th earlier today.
Yeah, nice job by Cole Powell here. He had a little bit of help from Grant Enfinger. Bobby Gerhart now is stuck in the middle. You don't want to be there. See the cars lined up in the outside. There's teammates for GMS. The 23 of Enfinger and the 20 of Sheldon.
Well, and the teammates that have dominated this race from Venturini, you saw that 55, that's Cody Coughlin, and he's got drafting help behind him in the form of Daniel Suarez.
Grant Enfinger right now content to ride in the middle of the racetrack. Gives an opportunity to see whether he wants to jump to the inside or the outside. Now he's going to pull down towards the inside. Again, still up in the second lane. There's Cody Coughlin, the 55 Jegs car. He gets around Powell.
Which is good, but he lost his wingman, his teammate Daniel Suarez. Perhaps he's not worried about him right now. Outside lane on board with Scott Sheldon. He's going around the 88 of Powell.
See, he gets down to turn number 3 and stalls out. His momentum stalls out. You see the 15 of Suarez pull up behind the 88, the tri-car Ford of Powell, to give him a little bit of a push.
How about this 3 wide behind him? Tom Hessert among those involved in that mix. We're coming to the cross flags halfway in the Lucas Oil 200 at Daytona.
And a lot of these guys right now in the middle of the racetrack and the outside of the racetrack are the same ones that said, I'm just going to get against the double yellow line and stay right there. Their hand's been forced. They have to do something different.
You surprised to see it widening out at all and guys getting aggressive here in the middle stages?
I think it's time. You see right now one car overheating on the outside.
It's Clay Campbell, isn't it?
Clay Campbell in the 52 car. He's right behind the 77 of Tom Hessert. We haven't heard of many issues of cars overheating here, whether it be the Elmore engine or the traditional engine.
Well, and we've had a couple of cautions here broken up nicely in the early going, which you would think
is that some debris on the bottom of that grill there, maybe?
I almost think it looks like it's been pushed in. Maybe, did he get too aggressive in the draft?
You're exactly right. He has pushed in something in here that's closed up the ductwork. I think Clay Campbell will have to make his way to pit road here. Again, these Ilmor engines with the ECU, they will automatically adjust. They will dump some fuel into that engine because they try to cool it off when they know it's running hot.
Campbell right behind his teammate Mark Thompson, who started on the pole. Both of them qualified up front here today, Jim.
Well, it is something they think is blocking that grill. The temperature has climbed to 280. They said come to the inside and get to pit road. So when they get to pit road, they're going to look at that grill. I don't think he lost enough water where they're concerned about putting more in, but they have that at the ready as well.
I think he looks like he's going to be speeding on pit road, though, in those first couple segments. I think he may end up having to come back to pit road again if he doesn't have terminal engine problem.
Yeah, that car's smoking, hitting under green. Not the situation Clay Campbell wanted to be in. Second straight year that he's going to run the restrictor plate package for Ken Schrader.
You see all that damage to that front end, or that closed up that grill opening. Just took a couple laps for that thing to overheat, Adam.
42 laps complete. Grant Enfinger in charge here at Daytona. If you're a race fan, you're fired up about tonight. We got the Sprint Unlimited. Tomorrow, Daytona 500 qualifying. But on Thursday night, we set the field for the Great American Race. It's Budweiser Speed Weeks. The Budweiser Duel at Daytona, 7 p.m. Eastern, here on Fox Sports 1.
Always some of the most exciting races of all of Speed Weeks, the Duel.
We got 49 cars here this weekend.
That's a lot.
And I'm telling you, it is going to be entertaining Thursday night, and not out of the realm of possibility that some big-time drivers could find themselves going home for the Great American Race. How about a young kid getting it done? Scott Sheldon to the point. He was racing side by side with his teammate, and look who's now in the mix up front. The man that won the championship a year ago, our reigning title holder, Mason Mitchell, in that 78.
Mason Mitchell, 2 top 10 finishes on the restrictor plate tracks last year, 7th here and 4th at Talladega. He knows how to run up front here, doing a great job.
He's only got one career win. I mean, you think about how dominating he's been, all the laps he's led so many times on the pole. Never finishes outside the top 10, but has not been the victory lane at the frequency you would expect.
In the last 29 ARCA Racing Series events, he's finished in the top 10 in 27 of them.
On board here with Cody Coughlin. He rides inside of our man Mason Mitchell. That's side by side for third. They're behind the GMS teammates of Scott Sheldon, who became our 5th different leader of this race. Grant Enfinger right behind him, the team car.
See, Tom Hessert, the 77 is going to give Will Kimmel the 69 a push on the outside. Frank's going to run up through the middle. Looked like Tom Hessert lost his momentum here. Frank is able to clear him. Now let's see if he jumps in here behind Brett Hudson in the 09, or his nephew. It looks like he's going to stay in the middle behind Brett Hudson.
Now we go on board with Austin Wayne Self. Won Rookie of the Year honors 1 season ago, and not doing too bad here today. Inside the top 15 after starting all the way back in 27.
Not a bad guy to follow right there. Frank Kimmel. Frank had a little bit of momentum. He said, hey, why not jump to the outside here? It didn't appear as Austin Wayne Self was able to hold that momentum. Ooh. Who's that? Was that Staropoli maybe that jumped to the outside in the 82? He jumped in there behind the 25 of Frank Kimmel. Patrick Staropoli, a winner in the K&N West Series at Irwindale last year.
How about Frank Kimmel? Had the issues fueling the car when he was leading. Went all the way back outside the top 30. The 10-time champion back up inside the top 10. Back live at Daytona, the battle for the lead is on in the Lucas Oil 200, presented by AutoZone, the season opener for the ARCA Racing Series. Grant Enfinger, who won this race 1 year ago, just went to the outside of his teammate, got a little drafting help from Cody Coughlin to put him back on point. See there, Frank Kimmel back in the mix. He finds himself inside the top 5. Brett Hudson is there and they are starting to get racing as we have 27 laps to go. And, Jim, the problems continue for Clay Campbell.
For the driver who finished third here, well in the mix in this very same race car for Ken Schrader Racing, they have overheating issues. He did get in the back of a car on a restart. One thing about the ARCA Ilmor 396 engine, it gets up and goes quicker than the built motors, so they take longer to wind up, if you will. He got in the back of a car coming through the gears. That caused the overheating. He got to 230 degrees. The team said, hey, let's bring you back down pit road. Cool it off.
And we've got our caution out once again. It's Leilani Moulter who hit the wall.
That's Buster Graham, the 17 car, also involved. The Louisiana Tech car, a lot of damage to Buster's car.
Yeah, Buster's been fast here since we unloaded on Wednesday. Trouble also for Bobby Gerhart.
Not going to be win number 9 for Bobby. Tough break for Bobby. His strategy played out perfectly, but lost the lead on the restart. There's Leilani. You can see her moving around in the car. Remembered how consistent she was last year with top 15 finishes.
See the damage on the right front of Buster Graham's Ford Fusion.
See 3 wide. Terry Jones, the 30 on the inside. You see him right down next to the double yellow line. Look at down. There's Bobby Gerhart. The 5 pulls up on the outside. See, Leilani just moves up the racetrack a little bit into the 22 of Blake Jones, and then it turns her sideways, and she gets into the car on the inside. You see her up a little bit too high. Then she gets into Terry Jones, and that sends her into Bobby Gerhart on the outside. Buster Graham, the 17, with nowhere to go.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time for the native of Lafayette, Louisiana. We go on board with Munter.
Just made contact there on the outside. Just didn't give that car on the outside enough room. They were battling for the 15th position. See, Leilani just has to ride it out now.
Let's go on board with Buster Graham. As you said, he had no place to go.
See, there's Gerhart on the outside. Leilani right into Bobby Gerhart and turns sideways right in front of Buster Graham.
Safety officials on the scene of Bobby Gerhart's car that is pulled to a stop here in the infield grass. Our third caution gives us a chance to work in a commercial break. Grant Enfinger leading. First crash of the afternoon at Daytona takes out 3 contenders. There's a live look at Bobby Gerhart. Led laps today, has won 8 times at Daytona, involved in a crash that has brought out our third caution of the afternoon. And he sat in that car for probably close to 5 minutes after it came to a rest here in the infield grass. And as you can see, needing some assistance as he makes his way to the ambulance. Anytime you're running close to 200 miles per hour and you get into the wall, you feel the impact.
Yeah, this racetrack obviously has the safer barriers, and they do an amazing job. But you still hit really, really hard. Bobby had nowhere to go. Leilani Moulter ran into the side of him and knocked him into the outside wall. So that was a hard hit.
Now, if you're a fan of J.J. Pack and you're saying, what's going on? He wasn't involved in the accident. No, he wasn't. But we looked up here under caution. The car caught fire. He eventually pulled his Ford to a stop over near turn 3. Fire truck met him halfway, extinguished the fire, and luckily he got out and is just fine.
It's possible that he ran over some debris from that incident or whatever, and maybe busted an oil line, or it looks more like a fuel line, as much fire as they had on that one car. Good to see him get out.
Some great pictures from our camera crew and those that work in our production truck. Can't say enough about the dedication they have in making it all possible here on Fox. Under caution with 24 laps to go in the season opener for the ARCA cars at Daytona. If you're at home, you've never been to Daytona and wonder what this place is all about, saw a great shot right there of how spectacular this place is. And if you can be here next Sunday, that's the time to get here. Noon Eastern time, we're on the air on Fox. It's the 57th running of the Daytona 500. Who will it be that gets to victory lane and, more importantly, earns that spot in the chase?
How storybook would it be for Jeff Gordon, maybe that young man on the right-hand side? Probably his last Daytona 500. How about him win?
Not probably. He said for sure. I'm not going to run another Daytona 500. History going to be made next Sunday afternoon. You can watch it all unfold live noon Eastern time on Fox.
This is what happened just a few moments ago. Leilani Moulter, the 66 car in the middle. You see her go up, and she makes a little bit of contact with that 22 car. Blake Jones And then Bobby Gerhart with nowhere to go, as well as the 17 of Buster Graham. Hard hits. There's another view of it. Watch how hard she hits Bobby Gerhart, and he's up into the outside safer barrier.
And we talked about Bobby Gerhart, and he was gingerly walking to the ambulance, so he will go to the infield care center. Both Graham and Munter able to drive their cars away as you look at it one more time on board with a 66.
It just happened so fast there. Got down in the corner. Leilani just stayed up a little bit high, made contact with the 22 of Blake Jones. Here's Buster Graham right here in the 17. You can see him with absolutely nowhere to go as well. That's the problem when you go at speeds of over 190 miles an hour. You get caught up in somebody else's mess with nowhere to go.
If you're just joining us late on this Saturday afternoon, we are under caution for the third time today. We've got 22 laps to go in this 80-lap event. We've had 5 different leaders this afternoon as you look at those drivers that were involved in the crash. And in addition to the crash that we just showed you under caution, problems for J.J. Pack. He started shotgun on the field. 40th is where he rolled off today. His car caught on fire under caution. He was able to get it stopped. Safety officials were right there to extinguish it. But that's yet another driver that's been a victim of Daytona International Speedway today. Grant Enfinger out front. Good to have you with us on a Saturday on Fox Sports 1. Gorgeous Saturday afternoon in Daytona. The beach just a short drive away from one of the great venues in all of sports. Daytona International Speedway hosting the ARCA Racing Series season opener. It is the Lucas Oil 200 presented by AutoZone, and cleanup continues as we work our third caution of the day. And you know, this has been a busy caution, an eventful afternoon, but Phil, we're at 20 laps to go. The money's starting to be put on the line for these drivers.
Oh, yeah, the business is going to pick up for sure. If there was any question in some of these drivers and teams' mind if they could make it to the end from their lap 35 pit stop, I think all these caution laps are going to get them comfortably within their window. Scott Sheldon, what a great job he's done. I think only one previous start in the ARCA Racing Series. He's led this race, currently running right now in the 7th spot. And how about this young man, Cody Coughlin? Started second, running second, and a great position here to maybe get his first ARCA Series win.
You know, the Coughlins have meant so much to racing over the years, but not stock cars, drag racing, NHRA. Cody, the first ever Coughlin to grace the high banks here at Daytona. He's done himself proud, qualified on the front row.
He wants to turn left. The rest of his family went straight.
So there's a couple of drivers in this race today who are here because they want to win, but they also want to gain some experience because they're going to be busy in the week ahead as our Budweiser Speed Weeks coverage continues on Fox Sports 1. Look what we've got on Thursday. Camping World Truck Series back on track for the first time this season.
Just like for the ARCA Racing Series, guys, they've waited all winter long to get down here and get on the racetrack. We'll see it Thursday. We'll have both those practice sessions, then qualifying, and then the setup at 7 o'clock on Friday night to set up that race.
The season opener is the NextEra Energy Resources 250. Mike Joy, Phil, you, and Michael Walker are going to have the call of that one. Let's send it down to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Adam. I've been watching that 09 of Brett Hudson. You know, in practice, he was back about 26th. He sat in the garage area and he said to his spotter, let me know when Frank Kimmel goes out. The 09 got right behind Kimmel and they went around, and those two cars really hooked up well. It put Brett Hudson in the top 7, so he knows that when he's hooked up with Frank Kimmel, he's very good. But here's the problem. When we get relined up, Frank Kimmel is 4th. He'll be in 1 row. Brett Hudson's 5th. So guess who will drop in right behind Frank Kimmel? Will Kimmel in the number 69. I have a feeling those two Kimmels are going to be lightning fast and on their way to the front.
And they may not leave a hole for Brett Hudson.
Well, and neither one of them have won here, Ray. We've documented that for Frank Kimmel, but for Will Kimmel, not only is he not won at Daytona, he's not won in his ARCA Racing Series career. What a way to get your first win at a place like Daytona. And his father, Bill, has just meant so much to the history of this series. Drove, has been a crew chief, worked with Frank for a number of years when they were winning championships, and now, of course, is the backbone for his son. And here you look at the 09, and I'll tell you, Brett Hudson's a kid that at age 27 that's done a lot of good things on short tracks around the Midwest and in the South. But I'm going to say this about Brett Hudson. If he wins, he would join a pretty good list of drivers from Owensboro, Kentucky that claimed a trophy here at Daytona.
Adam, when do you think that 09 is? You see that great, nice Charger body on that car. When do you think that chassis was built?
I'll go 2005.
1997. That was the car that was built for Rick Mast in 1997 to run the Daytona 500. And I believe Rick had a top 5 finish in that very car. Now, there's been a lot going on to that chassis. New front snout, probably new rear clip, maybe multiple, but that center section of that car was built in 1997.
Well, and we talk about racing families, and there are many here in the ARCA Racing Series. Brett Hudson's uncle, Donnie Richardson, pretty much runs the program for Ken Schrader when it comes to the ARCA Racing Series. His crew chief is John Hayden, all of them connected to Owensboro, Kentucky, which has always been one of the hotbeds of stock car racing. Jim?
Well, speaking of families, the Venturini family has presented cars that are now sitting second, third, and fourth on the racetrack. One note by the crew chief and the spotter on the race leader, Grant Enfinger's team, as they discussed under these caution laps. Hey, keep in mind, the 15 and the 55 behind you are teammates of Frank. They expect Frank Kimmel to get some sort of maybe assist from their teammates to let Frank down on the bottom to chase the 23. Frank is hungry. There's no trophy in Clarksville, Indiana at his house that says Daytona winner on it. That's how bad he wants it, and Grant Enfinger and his team are speculating they might allow him the chance to get to the rear bumper of that blue and yellow car out front.
There's still 15 or 20 cars that right now believe they've got it what it takes to get the checkered flag. Nice crowd gathered for the season opener. 18 laps to go. We get the green flag when we come back. Back live at Daytona International Speedway. Thanks for being with us on Fox Sports 1 as our Budweiser Speed Weeks coverage continues. 63 of 80 laps complete in the Lucas Oil 200, presented by AutoZone. Grant Enfinger is the race leader. We are about to get the 1-to-go signal.
Why don't we see if we can talk to Grant? Hey, Grant Enfinger, Phil Parsons up in the Fox Sports 1 booth. You got a copy?
All loud and clear.
Grant, you know how to get to victory lane here. You did it last year. How does it look here for these last 15 or so, 15, 16 laps? You got any help out there?
I don't know. There's a lot of Toyotas around us, but we got a really, really strong Chevrolet. So Ken stand up out Alamo rental car, leading travel with Spencer Gallagher, everybody at GMS Racing that's let me be in here. We got a heck of a rocket ship.
Your teammate Scott Sheldon's done a great job as well. He's right now in the 7th spot here. Maybe he can get up and help you a little bit.
For sure, he already helped me get the lead one time, so hopefully we can work with him. He's done great all week.
All right, buddy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Phil, you mentioned the teammate, Scott Sheldon. Here he is, going to restart in the 7th position on that inside lane. Let's give you the top 10 here as we get set to go back under green. Enfinger is leading. Cody Kaufman is second. Daniel Suarez is third. Frank Kimmel is fourth. And Brett Hudson is fifth. Will Kimmel's sixth right now. We talked about Scott Sheldon. He goes off 7th on the restart. Mason Mitchell, the reigning series champion, restarts in the 8th position. Back in the 9th spot on the restart will be the 54. That's Matt Krajewski. And then in the 10th position will be Austin Wayne Self.
Yeah, Cole Powell right now, the 88 car, runs 11th. Cole led this race earlier. Done a nice job. Tom Hessert, our winner at Talladega last year, right now is lined up in the 12th spot. And Daniel Hemrick right now up in the top 15, running 13 with a shot at it.
Pole sitter Mark Thompson, 63 years old, but still going strong. He's 14th. And the 22 of Blake Jones, just turned 18 years old, restarts 15th. We get the green flag with 15 laps remaining. The elbows are going to get sharp here. We're getting down to it in the season opener for the ARCA teams.
3 Venturini cars right now lined up in the first 2 rows.
Keep an eye outside lane on Frank Kimmel. You mentioned the Venturini machines. He's the third one of the bunch, but the guy who has led more laps than any other today. 27 circuits out front for Kimmel. Second in line when it comes to laps led is the man who's out front right now, Grant Enfinger.
Is Frank going to make it 3 wide? 3 Venturini teammates. He jumps out in front of Cody Kaufman. Now he's on the outside going after Grant Enfinger.
That's where he got the lead earlier. Got a push in that outside lane from his teammate, Cody Coughlin. We'll see if he can make it happen again. At one time, he was outside the top 30 because they had a fueling problem on pit road. Had to make an extra stop. But as we come to 14 to go, Frank Kimmel has got his eyes on the lead once again here at the World Center of Racing.
Again, Grant Enfinger, that 23 car, the lone Chevrolet among the top 4. 3 Venturini cars right now running second, third, and fourth. Dead even for the lead.
Keep an eye outside lane on that 69 of Will Kimmel. He's been strong today. Daniel Suarez second in line on the bottom, and right behind him, we've talked about him a bunch, Brett Hudson.
Remember, one of the second place finishes that Frank Kimmel has in this race came last year right behind that 23 car of Grant Enfinger. Oh, trouble. Cody Coughlin gets sideways and saves it.
Boy, did he do a nice job of reeling that in, and an even better job for those guys behind him to roll out of the throttle and make sure we didn't have the big one. And now the inside lane has the advantage. Grant Enfinger goes back out front. Right of your screen, check the replay. Some contact there with a 69.
Cody Coughlin left a little bit too much room in between he and Brett Hudson. Will Kimmel thought about going down through the middle. They made a little bit of contact. Great save by Cody Coughlin.
How impressive is it that Grant Enfinger could come to Daytona, win 2 years in a row with 2 different race teams? And as we continue to watch Enfinger out front, let's hear from Bobby Gerhart. Jim?
Out of the care center, Bobby. What did you see, and more importantly, are you okay?
I'm fine. First of all, Jim, a privilege to be here and compete. I'd like to thank Lucas Oil for the opportunity. No, I think the tape will kind of tell it all. There's no sense pointing any fingers or placing any blame. It just was a kind of a misjudgment, and you know, there's not a lot of room for error when you're 3 wide, and you know, obviously it was just at the right place at the wrong time.
Thank you, Bobby. Good to see you're okay.
Yeah, Jim, it is good to see he's okay, because it took him a while to climb from his race car. Hopefully we'll see Bobby later in the year. Always tries to run a part-time schedule and is one of the best when it comes to restrictor plate racing. On board here with Cody Coughlin.
See the Kimmels lined up. Frank Kimmel, the 25, his nephew Will on the outside. That's 69. They can push down the straightaway. They have to get apart when they get to the corner. You saw Will Kimmel do that. He got off Frank by the time they got to the corner.
And this is what Ray kind of predicted. He said the opportunity could present itself for Frank and Will Kimmel to work together. And right now, the magic is happening in that outside lane. 11 laps to go, and the 69 pushing that 25. Enfinger leads. Right behind him, Daniel Suarez. Can't say enough about his effort today. Had never been at Daytona, but he's going to get plenty of experience in the next week, running the Camping World Truck Series race on Friday night, and he will start his rookie campaign in the Xfinity Series 1 week from today, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing.
A great push by Mason Mitchell in the 7-8 into the night 69 of Will Kimmel, which pushed the 25 of Frank Kimmel forward. They're dead even for the lead.
Right behind the Kimmels, you have the Mason Mitchell Motorsports cars. You talked about Mason himself. Behind him, the team car that will run full-time this year, Austin Wayne Self, in that 98.
Well, there's a lot more bumping going on than we saw the first 60 laps of this race. Only 10 laps to go right now. Look how tight these cars are.
Only 3 cautions so far today. And Phil, you said it, 10 laps to go, but I'm not sure if we can get to the finish line without another caution flag. Racing tight at the front here at Daytona. And there's a great look from our camera folks of Will Kimmel sucking up behind Frank, pushing him until they get to the corner, and then releasing, so you're not doing that bump drafting in the corners here at Daytona.
Saw Will side drafting a little bit off of Cody Coughlin. You see me doing it again right there at the start-finish line. That stalls the momentum out on that car on the inside line. Ooh. Suarez gets sideways, had a little bit of a bump from his teammate Cody Coughlin. Nice save by Suarez.
This kid's got a boatload of talent. Spent the last few years running full-time in the NASCAR Toyota Series down in Mexico. A couple of wins in the K&N East Series last year. And he's racing right now alongside a legend in Frank Kimmel, who's trying to win for the first time in his career at Daytona. And he's in the middle and going the wrong way is that 25.
He got put in the middle. Will Kimmel had such a push by Mason Mitchell in the 78. I think he had no choice but either to go by or slam on the brakes. Now Will's up in second spot.
What's the story on the 55, Ray?
Well, Adam, 2 years ago tomorrow, Cody Coughlin won his first ever late model race. It was just down the road at New Smyrna Speedway, and on that day, he led every lap. He said that was a lot of fun, but today on this radio, this kid is all giggles. He's like, this is absolutely a blast. He's got that bottom line. He's getting encouragement from Scott Wimmer. They're trying to find a way to get him a position so he can move forward.
And Ray, I promise you, with 8 laps to go, still anybody's guess how this one's going to shake out. A big mess at the front. And the man who's in the catbird seat right now, Grant Enfinger, because he's watching that beehive behind him. Coming to 7 laps to go, and now Enfinger getting the shove from Daniel Suarez.
If they can stay lined up now and keep those cars behind them, now they've got Cody Coughlin also that broke free from that pack. They have 3 cars single file up front. Here goes Frank again on the outside with a run.
It had been Will Kimmel that was pushing Frank. Perhaps Will can slide up here and get a little help from his uncle.
Yeah, I think that's what he needs to do right now is to move up to catch the draft from the 25. You see, good bump right there by Austin Wayne Self into the back of the 78. Look how it propels the 78 forward.
Haven't talked a lot about him today, but the 6 car of Josh Williams in the mix. Right behind him, the bright orange car, the white and black car. That's the 92 of Daniel Hemrick, running this race so he can get NASCAR's approval to make his Speedway debut next week in the Camping World Truck Series season opener. He's going to run full-time there in 2015 for NTS.
See a little steam coming out of the 69 car of Will Kimmel. Remember, we saw Clay Campbell lose a little bit of water, and it didn't take him a couple laps to lose a lot of water. Will has to be careful of that. They're 3 wide.
Next time around, going to be 5 laps to go here at Daytona. And now things starting to sort out just a little bit at the front. The top 6 cars, maybe 7, have pulled away nose to tail. But behind them, the draft continues to form. Tom Hessert is there. Will Kimmel is there. Saw Brett Hudson, Austin Wayne Self.
That white and black car is Daniel Hemrick. He's doing a nice job here racing up in the top 10. There's Austin Hill, the 8 car. We talked about him earlier. Won the last 2 K&N races of 2014. He's making his first start at Daytona, knocking on the door of the top 10.
21-year-old. Did a nice job in those 2 races he ran late last season. Patrick Staropoli, a part of that draft. Also the 12 of Tyler Audie. This is his home track. He hails from Orlando, Florida.
See, the steam continues to come out of the 69 car of Will Kimmel.
Going to be 4 to go this time. Daniel Suarez being very patient right now. He's got his teammate Cody Coughlin behind him. When do you start to think about making a move, or can you go to the outside and make it happen here?
I think I might want to think about waiting towards the last lap. He knows he has his teammate. Then all he has to do is beat that 23 car to the start-finish line. Doesn't have to beat him all the way around the racetrack.
If you're Enfinger at this stage of the race, going around lap traffic now, but how's your balance? Looking out the windshield versus that rearview mirror?
About 90% of the time he'll be looking in that rearview mirror. Also relying on his spotter to keep an eye on Suarez in that 19 car and to make sure that nobody else forms up on the outside. They don't want to see somebody get a run on the outside.
Brett Hudson now up there in the 4th position. Scott Sheldon, the teammate of Grant Enfinger, the race leader right there in the top 5. Boy, look at this. Will Kimmel, Austin Wayne Self with contact.
Really gets dicey when they go around the lap car. There was a lap car on the inside. Everybody's been able to get by him, though. Nobody can back off now with 3 to go.
Terry Jones involved in that accident earlier, also in the middle of that mix. 3 laps remaining. Leaders working their way off of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. Watch this last time around.
Turn 3 right here. See, Will Kimmel, David Levine have to move up the racetrack to go around that lap car. They just about ran out of room, and off of 4, same situation.
And if you're a lap car in this circumstance, anxious times, because you don't want to impact those that are racing for the top spot. The flagman will give the signal. 2 laps to go. Grant Enfinger trying to go back-to-back at Daytona. He's 5 miles away from getting it done.
There's a couple of Venturini teammates. Suarez in the 15, Cody Coughlin in the 55 right behind him. You see Grant Enfinger, he looks in the mirror, he said, I want to go where Suarez wants to go. Don't need to let him get any kind of a run on me.
What a great opportunity for a young guy like Daniel Suarez. Never been to this kind of a venue, and now he's got to try and make a move, and there goes his teammate, Cody Kaufman, to the outside, and I'm not sure this is what you need. Side by side, probably not going to work as we close on the white flag and 1 lap to go here at Daytona.
Allows Brett Hudson to move up beside Cody Kaufman. Great news. Here comes the 20. Teammate to Grant Enfinger, Scott Sheldon on the outside. I'm not sure he's going to have time to get there. 1 to go.
Grant Enfinger has led the most laps today. He wants to lead another 3/4 of a lap. He'll have his second checkered flag at Daytona. But Daniel Suarez won't go away.
They're side by side for third. That's really going to help these two cars out front.
Suarez going to have a chance to make a move, but likely not going to have any drafting help. Although Cody Kaufman starting to make it happen in that outside lane. He's getting a push from another Venturini car and Frank Kimmel. They're into 3 for the final time.
I think they're going to run out of time. Grant Enfinger's in the driver's seat here as they exit turn 4.
Suarez looks to the outside. Enfinger slides up. They come to the tri-oval at Daytona. Grant Enfinger leads the most laps and goes back-to-back at Daytona.
An outstanding job by Grant Enfinger here. We talked about the very top of the show, 2 guys that have been to victory lane here. Bobby Gerhardt, he got taken on that wreck. Grant Enfinger won last year, and he goes back-to-back.
5 starts at Daytona, and Jim, his batting average is pretty good. Second career victory at the World Center of Racing coming today.
And the investment has paid off for GMS Racing. A whole lot of infrastructure, a whole lot of building this program into the Truck Series, Jeff. But how sweet is this getting the victory for GMS Racing back at Daytona with Grant Enfinger?
Well, this is a lot of fun. It's really a lot of fun to see Grant win because he really works his butt off at the shop. And I can't take a lot of credit for this because Grant and his guys got this car ready the whole week. We've been getting our truck stuff ready. I came down here to help him, and he does a heck of a job. He just works his butt off, and I'm really happy for Grant. He deserves this. I want to thank Maury Gallagher for the opportunity, GMS, the whole team. Everybody works great. Shane Huffman over there with Scott Sheldon. We worked really well together, and it's a fun weekend. It's fun to come do this stuff and win.
You've been around this a long time. How hard is it to win here at Daytona in anything, Jeff?
Well, it's really hard. I came down here about 7 or 8 years in a row working for Frank Kimmel, and we never won it. This is my first time getting an ARCA win here at Daytona. I won a Busch race here with Kevin Harvick once, so it's a lot of fun.
Congratulations, Jeff Stankiewicz, the winning crew chief for Grant Enfinger, the winner here at Daytona.
Jim, 9 times Grant Enfinger has won in his ARCA Racing Series career, but none of them more special than the 2 he's gotten here at Daytona. He did it again today. Sun is setting on Daytona International Speedway, and the Lucas Oil 200 presented by AutoZone is complete here at the World Center of Racing. And just like 1 year ago, it's Grant Enfinger who's able to get it done. In fact, when you look at the top 4 names on our scoring pylon, each of those drivers either met or exceeded their best ever career finish. Let's take a look at today's top 10.
See, Grant Enfinger gets the win. Daniel Suarez did an outstanding job. I don't think he ever fell out of the top 5 this entire race. Brett Hudson, an outstanding run with the old-style engine. He's a top finisher with the old-style engine. Cody Kaufman ties his career best with a 4th.
Matt Kurgieski also with a solid top 10 run, and Josh Williams, who didn't qualify great, also found his way to the top 10. Surprised Tom Hessert wasn't there at the end, and we talked about those Empire cars. Some disappointment there, perhaps, for guys like Patrick Staropoli and Sean Corr.
Yeah, top 15 finish, though, for Daniel Hemrick in the 92 car.
Lester Graham involved in that accident. He also finished outside the top 35. Let's hear from Grant Enfinger and go to victory lane and Jim Trado.
He is out of the car, and he loves the taste of Gatorade at Daytona. Victory back-to-back. New team from a year ago. He went to this team 11 races into the season last year, said, I want to go for the championship. His payback to this team, believing in this young man from Fairhope, Alabama, knows every inch of a race car, but nothing like the success he wants to continue with GMS Racing. A victory last year, but this is a whole different platform here, pal. Starting out a championship season, just announced a full-time deal. This has to be huge.
I tell you what, it's an incredible feeling. A few weeks ago, there's a lot of uncertainty there. Great job, Jeff. There's a lot of uncertainty there. Didn't know when I was going to get back in the car. So can't say thanks enough to Spencer Gallagher, everybody at GMS Racing, for giving us this opportunity. Hopefully we pumped up Alamo Rental Car. So I hope to do some more races with them this year. But, man, overall, just can't say enough about GMS Racing, this opportunity they've given me. Legion Travel, Worth USA. Man, hopefully we're on for the big things at Mobile in a month. But we're gonna savor this moment for a while.
Yes! That's Spencer Gallagher, who won the last race in the ARCA Series for GMS Racing. One more question about the land of the race. How much did you spend time looking in the windshield? Looks like you're doing a whole lot out the mirror.
I was afraid I was going to clip the apron and Rick. I wasn't looking out of the windshield at all. Just an incredible job by Daniel Suarez behind us in the 15. Gave us a big push to get the lead there. Can't say enough about our teammate Scott Sheldon. He pushed us to the lead. Wanted it to be 1 and 2, but man, it's an incredible feeling.
Grant Enfinger and the GMS Racing boys in victory lane at Daytona once again.
Great day for Cody Coughlin. I'll tell you what, I listened to you on the radio. Sound like you had a ball out there.
Well, we had a lot of fun. Obviously, this is my first time to Daytona, and to be able to come out here with the top 5 is cool. Man, we were up front all day, though, and we could taste the victory, so it's a little bittersweet in that aspect, but can't thank everybody enough at JEGS and Sports Clips and Joe Gibbs Racing, Venturini Motorsports. We had a wicked fast Toyota today, and I learned a lot. We'll come back next time and get the checkers.
All right, learning is important. Daniel Suarez, if you'll come in here, have a great run, and I'm just curious about those last couple of laps. Did you have a plan ready?
To be honest, a few days ago I was thinking, okay, where do you need to be to try to win this thing, to try to win the race? And obviously it was the second place. 10 laps ago I said, where? Well, here we are, in second place. Let's try to figure out how to win this thing. And I was trying to pass the 23 car in the last couple laps. But I don't know. I just didn't figure out exactly how to make that pass. I'm not sure if I didn't have enough help, or I'm not sure exactly what I did wrong. But I'm happy with the second place. Everyone in Joe Gibbs Racing, Venturini, they put out this car together. They did a really good job, and I'm happy about that.
All right, Venturini cars were fast, and these drivers will have another chance to learn a lot more soon.
No question about it, Ray. And Phil, you and I talked after qualifying yesterday. We said there's been a theme with these cars throughout the week, and even testing. Very clean. We saw a great race here today.
We certainly did, and it looked really ominous at the end of the race for Grant Enfinger. He was surrounded by 3 Venturini cars, and Grant Enfinger was able to hold them off there. You see J.D. Gibbs, Joe Gibbs right there, Cody Coughlin, one of the driver development programs for Joe Gibbs Racing, so those guys have a lot of interest, as well as Daniel Suarez, too, will be running full-time in their Xfinity car.
The first real race of Speed Weeks is complete. Grant Enfinger continues to celebrate. There will be another celebration here later tonight, 2 hours from right now. It's the Sprint Unlimited, the unofficial beginning of the NASCAR season. You can watch it 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. But now it's time to get you ready. How about a special 2-hour race day to set up the Sprint Unlimited? It's on Fox Sports 1, and it starts right now.